Oh, this is fun. Did you guys get the notification that says you are now live? Would you like to leave the stream?
We
No, I didn't
did.
see
What?
that.
Yep.
Hey, Chris, can you give me permission to record?
Yeah, let me give it a shot here.
Oh, that's great. Your conversations are no longer private. Here we go. We got a notification from Gone-GPN.
Hey,
Cool.
everybody. I'm
Live.
seeing live chat. So if you guys have questions, ask
Awesome.
them.
Hey, everybody. We're just going to jump right in here as we try to do our first live podcast from Gone-GPN. If you are new to Gone-GPN, welcome aboard. We got 5 members on the team here. And if you have been a Gone-GPN subscriber and kind of follow us through our adventures and travels, fantastic and welcome back. I am Chris Collard, and we're just going to go around the table here, or I should say around the screen, and introduce everybody. Want to start with Tracy Clark.
Howdy, howdy.
Yeah, so Tracy, if you know, she was the brains of initiating Gone-GPN, and she created the whole thing and brought us all together on this same little piece of digital real estate.
Yep.
And yeah, so Tracy, you want to throw any tidbits out there?
I thank everybody for sticking with this. It, like Chris said, it was kind of my brainchild. I guess you can call me the founder. Stepped back a little bit over the last year and kind of focused more on me, but good to see everybody here, and let's talk Jeeps.
Let's talk Jeeps. All right. Next, on my screen, at least, we're going to go over here to the bottom. Liam.
Hi.
Liam is, he's one of these brainiac guys. So he is actually, he's an engineer. He makes Jeep parts. Like, he designs the stuff that comes in your Jeep, door panels. And I don't know, Liam, tell us what else happens in that, a crazy place that makes Jeep parts.
Yeah, that's definitely an exaggeration. So for the last 5 years, I was the product design engineer on the interior door panel for Jeeps. Actually, here, I got a prop.
Oh, he's got a prop. All right. We like props.
There.
Look at that.
That was my product. So that's the interior door panel for the new Wrangler JL and JT, the Gladiator truck. I did not design it. Everyone gives me way too much credit. The guys at Jeep designed it, but I assisted them in making sure that the program was running smoothly over the last 5 years. But I actually just quit that job because I'm going to go to the dark side and work on side-by-sides with Polaris.
The dark side. Well, you're moving too, right?
Yeah,
oh, hey,
I'm
okay.
moving.
Hang on.
Oh,
Rick Payway
you.
just brought up a really good point, guys. So if you're new to Gone-GPN channel, you'll see everybody taking a drink, and that is because Liam mentioned a non-Jeep brand vehicle. So the rule is, when you say something like Polaris or International Scout, everybody's got to take a drink of something. Could be coffee
or Bronco.
Or Bronco.
Oh, well, hang on a second. We're gonna run out of. I'm drinking Pacifico. You know why? Because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's actually 5 o'clock here. Continue on, Liam.
I'm gonna run out of cocktail, guys.
Yeah, I have whiskey, so I got to be careful. Can we say that I have whiskey? Yeah, we can say that. We make the rules here. No, that's me. I don't know about Brainiac, but I do engineering things. I spend a lot of time on a computer and in the garage. So those are my hobbies.
Cool. Yep. All right. Let's see. Going around the screen, Mike Harrington. He is our video production manager genius. He's got how many? I don't know how many I'm not saying you're old, Mike, but you've been doing this for like 30 years, right? Or more.
Yeah. A couple. Been doing it a couple times. Yeah.
So Mike's the guy that Liam and I call, or at least I call, when I'm trying to figure out something on Premiere Pro. It's like, how do you do this transition, whatever. And so Mike used to shoot all kinds of annual events.
Yes. Yeah. Well, in '95, I owned a production facility in Santa Monica, and I was working with automotive advertising agencies and what have you. And the art director of Four Wheeler Magazine called me and said they needed to start shooting some videos. And so I got started with Four Wheeler GMI publications at the time, back in '95. And I've done several top trucks and ultimate adventures, diesel power challenge. Not every single one since then, but I think most of them. And I just have always enjoyed shooting off-road, even when I wasn't doing it professionally. And so when the art director called, I jumped up and down and took that job as soon as I could. So I've been doing it for a few years, yes.
Yeah, a couple. Awesome. All right. And last guy we have sitting here, the grand poobah of Jeep knowledge. And our mentor when it comes to questions, anything regarding Jeep, like apart from an old 2A, or hey Rick, how am I going to fix this? And that's Rick Payway. Rick was the editor of JP Magazine, created JP Magazine, was with Peterson's Four Wheel and Off Road for years. Like Rick, you were a truck group director for
Yep.
the Enthusiast Network. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, my longest job at Peterson, which was Peterson Publishing when I started, was as editor of Peterson Four Wheel and Off Road Magazine. Prior to that, I was working with Four Wheeler before we bought them. Eventually, Peterson bought all of the four-wheel drive magazines. So eventually, I was the group director, and I was editor of JP for a couple of years. Everybody said JP stood for just Payway, which since I was alone on staff, that's what it was. And then I finally finished out my career at that company, Motor Trend Discovery, whatever it's called today, a couple of years ago, after being on JP for a couple of years before. But prior to that, I had a four-wheel drive store in Tempe, Arizona that I ran. And then prior to that, worked at other four-wheel drive stores. And the Jeep behind me is my first Jeep I got in 72, I think it was. And I still have. So, yeah. I'll Jeep all the time. I have forgotten more than I can remember. So, but give me a try. I'll see if I can remember it for you. If not, I've got stuff that's so old. I mean, check this out. This is a new one today.
Can you bring that up closer to the screen, Rick? I'm having a hard time. Oh,
It's a industrial engine parts list for the Willys 4-cylinder. I mean, It's complete with like old man notes on the cover. Yeah, so I go through here. Yeah, I recognize all the notes.
Does that have a date on it, Rick?
Yeah, old, like me. Toledo, Ohio. Let's see if it has a date. It's got to be old. I mean, relatively speaking, it can't be too old, right?
No more than 80 years.
Willys Power Giant. Whoa.
Yeah, that's cool. That is cool.
But we're talking mid 50s. Look at that.
Yeah. Wow. What a classic. What a gem. So something folks might not know about Mr. Payway, Honorable Mr. Payway, is he was the guy that started Dirt Every Day. So you guys have probably all heard of Dirt Every Day. Well, back in the day, right, well, you'd find a Jeep somewhere in the country and buy it for like a couple $100 and then go back there and figure out how to make it run and then drive home.
Pretty much right. That was David Freiberger and I, since he was at Hot Rod at the time, and I was on four-wheel and off-road. The idea was to do just that. Go find some $500 Jeep. That was usually the limit. And we'd have readers that actually would email us, before text and everything else. So I remember we flew into Salt Lake City. We were both wearing sandals, and our carry-on were our tool bags. So that was pretty good. And we still have that Jeep too.
And let me see, the one behind you though, Rick, is that the one that you took to Alaska?
Nope, that's my dad's Jeep, which let's see, I restored that early 90s. It's basically a clone of mine, but I restored it to pure military style. And that Jeep Freiberger and I drove to Alaska in 2000 and back, and I drove it to Maine, Nova Scotia, actually, and back. That was about 2010. And then just this last spring, Freiberger and I went from Phoenix to Key West and back, sort of. 2,500 miles just one way. So.
And you're going to tell us all about that one in a little while, huh?
Sure. As long as we got time and they don't cut off the power.
Yes. Did you pay the bill?
I'm in the sticks.
All right. So for everybody watching, if you've got questions, we've got answers. And if we don't have an answer, one of us will make something up that, it's at least halfway funny. If it's a Jeep question, I'm guessing somebody, especially Rick, could probably answer it. But we're going to be talking about what we did this year. So our podcast, we had to drop it at the beginning of the year. And mostly because a little bit of our backstories, we all have, we're just industry professional guys. Well, sometimes we're professional guys and gals, Tracy, that just got together. I mean, Tracy rounded us up and said, let's do something fun and let's call it Gone-GPN. And it's about all Jeep all the time. So the podcast, we kind of like just when summertime comes and we run out of bandwidth. So we kind of had to pick our battles. So we kind of dropped the podcast for a while, but we're back and we're hoping that we can continue on every couple of weeks or so, at least until next summer when we get crazy busy again. So we wanted to talk about the stuff that we've been doing. Tracy.
We have somebody that's watching us live. John Lee said howdy. Let's say howdy back to John Lee.
Howdy, John Lee.
Howdy.
Okay, here's a question.
I'm going to have a toast to John Lee. There we go.
Is this the John Lee that used to work at Peterson Publication? Ask him that.
That's a good question.
Well,
you just did.
Ask him. You just did. Let's wait and see if he replies.
I get to ask questions too, right? Don't we all?
Oh yeah.
Are we making up the rules as we go along?
As
Kinda.
usual,
I mean,
yes.
That's
Okay,
the best
well,
part
we'll
of
wait on John Lee.
That's the
Yes.
best
I have
part
another
of
question.
our show. Go ahead.
I'm looking at Liam. There's a Jeep in a round sheet behind him. What's with that? Since we know and the rest of the world doesn't.
Ha. Well, I was about to say that up until like a week ago, my channel had more subscribers than Gone-GPN. So I was going to say people probably know me over it, but no, that changed when like the last week. Now I have a small channel and I can say that it's cool because at least just one person at SEMA goes, no, I know you from your channel. I'm like, yes.
Celebrity.
Yep. And can you guess why they knew who I was? Anyone guess why?
Because they saw you broke down on the side of the road and you're
Nope. Because they own a 4-cylinder YJ. So I have a YouTube channel about 4-cylinder YJs, or at least that's how it got started. Because I have a 4-cylinder YJ and I supercharged it. And that's pretty much the only way people find my channel is the supercharger video. And so it's Jeep Sheep TV. So you're trying to get the angle right now. Okay, Jeep and then sheep. See the sheep and then there you go, TV.
Well, thank you for answering my question. Next on my list is, have you had any hydraulic clutch issues with your Jeep? Because it's a common problem with YJs with 4-cylinders.
Hydraulic clutch.
Yeah, slave cylinder, the slave cylinder inside.
I can't
Isn't
say
hydraulic, but the slave cylinder, the throwout bearing.
I can't say I have because I have one of those pesky 3-speed automatic transmissions.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
automatic.
No issues.
Here, I was hoping it was a stick. And come to think of it, I've driven your Jeep, so I should have remembered. See, I have forgotten more than I remember.
That's right. But we love that Jeep because Liam drove it all the way out to Moab last year, right? For Easter Jeep Safari.
Yeah, I've driven it to Moab twice.
Yeah.
And
Cross
then
country.
he also drove it all the way to Rick's house.
That's right. Where it started in the front yard. My wife goes,
And then
we got
drove
another
it, and then drove it all the way back to Michigan.
That's right.
Rick, I'm surprised that she even noticed it out there with all your other Jeeps.
Oh, those bright
Like
red
high Jeeps
stars
in it.
right out front. So
Good point.
it was outstanding in its field, let me tell you.
Yeah, it was the rustiest.
Well, you haven't seen them all.
Well, I have a question too. Actually, we're going to jump into what we did this year, but Mike, one of the things that you just did, which we're working with, is your new adventure on what do you call it? You shoot, I edit. Is that right?
You shot, I edit. Yeah. I did
Yeah.
want to let everybody know that I'm starting a new company. It actually won't launch until about January. You shot, I edit. But one of the things that's going to enable us to do is start to solicit videos and photos from our viewers. And when we find something really cool, then we're going to put it up and show it to everybody. That'll be starting sometime in about January. We'll have more details in the future.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That sounds awesome because we end up being wrapped up in our own little worlds, right, guys? And we meet people on the trail, but then there's so many people out there we never get to see what they're driving or what their projects look like. So especially the last couple of COVID years, it's like I feel like we're living in isolation. So that's going to be fun.
Well, I'm hoping Rick would agree. We want to see some of the reader rigs. I mean, that's always been kind of a popular column in the magazines. Why don't we do some of that? Do some
Well, it's true
reader.
because when we did the magazines, it was probably our most popular column. I mean, Tracy even wrote them for about 2-3 years, and it was consistently get my Jeep in there. So there's absolutely no reason why we can't do it on video, especially with Mike doing the hard work.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep them short and sweet because they can't get in depth. But yeah, I think the video aspect. Somebody's got a cool rig. We might give you some tips and tricks on how to shoot a quick walk around. It's something easy, probably take you 4 or 5 minutes, and then give you a place to upload it. I'll cut something together, and we'll take a look at it and show it to all of our other viewers.
Super fun. All right.
Sounds
Any
cool.
other questions within the team? I have a question. I have a question to all of our subscribers and viewers. It's something we talk about it as a group, but it's like we're always interested in what kind of stuff do you guys like? I mean, what kind of content really turns your crank? Is it like tech stuff, like vehicle rebuilds, or figuring out how to rebuild a Dana 30 axle, or adventure stuff, walk arounds on cool rigs? I mean, we're always open to stuff that you want to see, because we started this thing, Tracy and the whole group, because we wanted to have fun, and we want to, just make it fun for everybody. So yeah, let us know. You can either just ping us on Liam. How do people get a hold of us?
Oh man, I don't know. We have
Yeah, we got it together
on Facebook all the time. I think that's a good one. We get messages on Facebook a lot. Technically we have an email, but no one's very diligent on checking it at the moment. So
don't give it out.
Yeah, so I'm not going to. But let's say Facebook right now. Facebook's our best way to chat.
Or direct message through Instagram.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep.
There you go. Yeah, we got it together, right? Or you can just at the bottom of this video just throw your questions out down there, and we'll tackle them and appreciate it. So I want to talk about some of the stuff that we did. Now, Tracy, you may have a limited time frame tonight, so let's talk about Fall Color Tour. I mean, you've been involved with it for a long time. And
this was my 8th year. I have been going for 8 years. We had a record 108 applications for Flat Fenders to get the coveted 50 lucky invites. We ended up with a total of 63. Mike Picard kind of opened up 5 more slots to help him out with some of the chores that are a daily grind on him during the event. So he opened up 5 more spots. Believe it or not, we had 7 no-shows this year. Some people just
Wow.
didn't show up, didn't call, didn't email, didn't send a carrier pigeon or dog sled or anything. 22 states and 1 Canadian province.
Wow,
A
that's a
lot
good
of
group.
good
All flat
people.
fenders.
All flat fenders. The weather was interesting this year. We've had years where it's been kind of wet and rainy from time to time, or windy and cold. This year we had everything. We had a solid probably 36 hours of rain and
Oh, man.
wind. Started out really, really nice, got really, really crummy in the middle of the week. And then it got nice again. And unfortunately, my partner in crime, Rick, was sick the entire time. So we didn't
But
get
that's
a,
because it was cold. People got to realize that it's held up in high mountains of Colorado, which is really great. But I'm a desert dweller. I showed up.
you
I
were,
was
you,
good.
you were sick when you got here. What are you talking
Well, I
about?
was the airplane. You know,
You were sleeping on the drive. Anyway,
and I was driving.
good. Yeah. Good time was definitely had by all. Had a lot of live music of the evenings. Had a few clear nights where I went out to pursue my new hobby, I guess you could say. I'm kind of getting into astrophotography, and got a chance to shoot the Milky Way for my very first time out there. But had a great Thursday night giveaway. We had over $9,000 in donations of products for giveaway. So that was a good thing. A lot of people walked away with some good stuff. So big shout out to our event sponsors like BF Goodrich, Warren, Super Winch, Rancho Suspension, Bigfoot Winch Ropes, Max Tie Downs. I mean, we've got a pretty good list. We had 21 different people donate to the cause to keep the event going, and we will start taking applications in January, planned for September 17th through the 23rd of 2023. Come enjoy the Arkansas Valley, the Collegiate Range, and a lot of good flat fender folks.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
Well, they have flat fender runs every day, a different run every day, sometimes 3, and the degree of difficulty is stock to not. So if you got a blown big block in your flatty, bring it on. If you have a perfectly restored GP or GPW, no problem. Everybody, it's all the same. Everybody loves everything. And they
Rick
have shop, so you can fix stuff.
And Rick got to wave his magic wrench over a 3B and a very, very interesting 45 2A that belongs to my sister from another Mr. Cheryl and her husband Scott. They've had it for 2 years. They have not been able to get it running consistently. Rick spent an hour and a half, 2 hours on it.
Yeah.
And they got to take it for their first drive.
Yeah, it's great. It is an early 2A. I mean, we're talking a numbers matching 2A, but it's all stock. The patina is incredible, and they're going to have a lot of fun with it. They did originally buy it so that they could fix it up and go rock crawling and all this other stuff. Then they figured out how rare it was and how cool it was. They said, we're going to keep it exactly like this. So, and they already have a rock buggy, right? So now they got
2.
Two.
Yeah, they've got the racing YJ that they're rebuilding, and then they've got and that's Frankenstein, and then they've got the Bride of Frankenstein, which is Cheryl's CJ7 rock buggy. So
the year before, I actually ended up buying another flat fender. Why? Who knows? But there's always
You needed
something
one,
because,
Rick.
because I told you needed it. It was going to sit out there all by itself. It was the last one there.
Yeah. So that's Gracie. Sometime I'll give you a tour of Gracie. But yeah, Fall Color Tour is excellent. And Tracy, how do you get a hold of International Flat Fender Club? How do you figure out what, when, and where?
If you've got a Flat Fender, join the CJ2A page. It is a forum-based page. Go under shows and get-togethers. You will see the Colorado Flat Fender or the CFFC Fall Color Tour, which is the Colorado Flat Fender Club Fall Color Tour thread. You can also find information on the International Flat Fender Club Facebook page. We also have a dedicated Facebook and Instagram page for Colorado Flat Fender Club Fall Color Tour now.
So if you have a flatty, it's a must do. In fact, Mike's done it, William's done it, and Chris, when he fixes up his flatty,
When I get it running, I need to get Payway's magic wrench on it.
get a counter on, get it going.
All right, Chris, put this on your calendar right now. The 17th of September through the 23rd of September,
17 to 23rd.
2023. Yes. It's a great time. Good folks. You can't beat the scenery. We actually had a prolonged fall this year, so we were a touch early for some really good color. But towards the end of the week, it was really starting to pop and got really, really pretty. And I actually got a chance to see fall colors, as you can see behind me, here at home after the 1st of October, which is a rarity.
Yeah, you live at kind of a high elevation, don't you?
I'm at 92, and Fall Color Tour base camp at Thirsty Dirt Ranch is 8,000.
At the Thirsty Dirt Ranch.
Thirsty Dirt Ranch.
It makes me thirsty.
Yes, it
That's the
does.
weirdest place. It rains
Right.
and it disappears. It goes right in.
Yeah. So we don't, I was just thinking, it's like we've got some Fall Color Tour videos up on the YouTube channel, don't we?
We
Oh,
do
yeah.
from 2020. There's a little bit of stuff from 2021,
Mhm.
but 2020, the COVID year, that was the one event that we did have a chance to go to. The county had already eased some restrictions, so they didn't have an issue with our 120, 130 people. And even though we were all kind of in close contact, but not in close contact, no outbreaks whatsoever. You know, the wind blows so fast and so hard out there, things just kind of get blown into the next county before you know it. So
Well, I need to, I sent my registration in last year. I just
Mhm.
I didn't get one of the lottery pick numbers, but it's probably good because I didn't get my Jeep running, my Flat Fender running. So I will have to, tackle that one.
Well,
sometime.
You have been busy.
I have been busy.
here's another thing, Chris. If you don't get one of the lucky 50 spots, come out anyway. We can always find you a seat.
Can we play the media card on that? Like tag along, we'll
Yes,
tag
you
along with
can.
Rick Payway as important media guys.
Yep, we will always find you a seat. We had a couple of guys there this year that just showed up, and Mike would ask in the morning who needs a seat, and they'd raise their hand, and they were seat hopping all over the place. Liam knows that. He's been
Oh,
a
yeah.
seat hopper. Mike's been a seat hopper.
Yeah, it's actually easier to do that if you're filming or photographing an event. It's not be driving. So that's a good point.
I got pretty lucky. I rode with Mike, and
Yeah.
man, what
Later.
a wealth! Yeah, what a wealth of information about the Fall Color Tour and why they changed that particular color and how the atmosphere affects that. I just enjoyed that trip so much.
Mike is a very, very knowledgeable man, knows the area, history of a lot of the old mines, and there's old ghost towns and things like that up there. And some of the things that you get a chance to go out and see, it just blows your mind. This year, he did a new trail that he called the Vision Quest. And it's kind of southeast of the ranch. And there's a couple of little sketchy places here and there on that trail, but you get out into an area where the Indians that lived in that area 100 years ago, 200 years ago now, or whatever, that's where they would take their young men when they were coming of age to see their vision. It was their vision quest. That's how they went from
Oh.
young boys to men. And it's a historical site and super, super interesting.
Okay, well,
Something for everybody on the trip like that.
Are you guys gonna take me out there and just leave me in the yeah, there you go. Leave me in
Yeah,
the
put it on the
so-
calendar.
go on your vision quest.
Yes,
And
Liam,
coming of
you are
age.
you are going to go on your quest to go from YJ to Flat Fender.
Oh,
Mhm.
I
Well-
love that idea.
He's already gone from YJ to Commando to Polaris.
That's it.
Oh,
Not yet.
Right on. All right, that's awesome. So thanks for
actually-
that, Tracy.
Yeah, that's
You
a good
betcha.
segue because Tracy mentioned Rancho Suspension, and Rancho Suspension saved my butt and Chris's butt on 2 separate trips this year. One of which is really interesting that happened on the Rubicon Trail. Chris, should we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. You bet. You bet. Yeah, Rubicon. Go ahead, jump in there, Liam.
Okay, sorry, I'm getting text messages. Yeah, so
Turn it off.
sorry. No, they're related. Here, actually, I'll say it on here and embarrass him. Chuck or Charles, Mr. Jeep Talk Show, who I hung out with all last week.
Oh, Chuck, yeah.
Yeah,
Charles.
he's on my phone as Charles. I think it's funny, but he's texting me right now and he's telling me he doesn't know how to comment. So just text me your questions, Chuck.
Hey, we had dinner together in Las Vegas
Yeah,
last night. Yeah, that was great.
yeah, it was like
Good guy.
not that long ago.
Yeah.
No, so
Oh.
Rubicon Trail, I'll kick it off because I had never been there before. I fly out. I think I did 24 hours of continuous movement, and then we got in an old orange Jeep that was all dented up and whatever. It's a pretty rough ride. I don't know why we took that Jeep or why it's important. And we bounced through the night and the headlights were flickering. And then I woke up and there's rocks everywhere. And oh my gosh, I had just ridden in an Expedition de las Americas CJ7. And then we completed the Rubicon Trail and Chris did a really good job of navigating through the rocks on 32-inch tires.
32-inch tires, 2-inch lift, Rancho shocks. Yeah, that
Not bad.
was so much fun. You know, so that was one of my funnest Rubicon runs in many years. And could jump back into the vehicle. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to buy one of the Expedition de las Americas CJ7s about 2 years ago, and had some history with it because back in 1998 and the 90s, I was the UPS guy in Georgetown, right, which is Jeep Jamboree Central. And I caught wind that they were doing a 20th anniversary trip back to South America. And I was like a kid in the candy store. I'm like, oh, no way. Wow. How do I get on this? You know, so I was fortunate enough to get involved with that, you know, go on that project. And then Fred Williams sent me a text like a year and a half ago, last January, and said that the vehicle was actually for sale, and it was on Craigslist. He sent me a picture of this vehicle on Craigslist, and I was like, holy crap, what is it doing on Craigslist? It scared the crud out of me because it'd been on Craigslist for 9 days. So I tracked down Shane, who had inherited it from his dad, Al Grimm, and was down there the next day on the trailer with my trailer at his house. So I've been like super excited about that. It's actually right here behind me. You can see back there. It's my wife was like, I haven't seen you this excited about anything in a long time. And she's right. It's super fun. So we've been doing a restoration project, and we go back around to that headlights flickering and middle of the night and whatnot. And that, so Bob Sweeney this president of Jeepers Jamboree, got a hold of me, and I'm still a local guy with all those people in Placerville, Georgetown, Camino, Pollock Pines, that general area. And he's like, Chris, we'd love to get all of those Jeeps up here for the 70th anniversary Jeepers Jamboree, right? So these guys started this thing in 1953. It's been going on forever, and this was a big deal. So we reached out to the other owners, and some of them, a couple of them are there. Tim Stegan, he's an OG from the expedition, and he's on Jamboree every year. Kevin Arnold, his dad was on the expedition. He's there with his Jeep every year. And I reached out to Brian Franzia, who was my Jeeping buddy in 1998 in South America, and we got them all up to the parked in front of the Jamboree office the day before the event. So it was super cool. First time in years, but I had been scrambling like a mad dog to at least get the drivetrain up to I don't know, up to where I could cross my fingers and hope that it worked. So we basically rebuilt everything from the yokes on the output yokes on the transfer case, fore and aft to the lug nuts. And you guys want to see a little 20-second video on a little bit of that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me do a quick screen share here. There's no audio for it. It's just a bunch of quick, just a bunch of, I'm not going to share sound because there is none. So, but this is like what I've been doing. Can you guys see that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I had it in my shop. I just started stripping everything down. It's an AMC 20 in the back. It hadn't seen a lot of love. Oh, we got some audio there. Oh, how about that's working? Went to Ring and Pinion Services, and they helped me reset the differentials. And you guys getting the audio too?
No, I'm not hearing the audio.
Okay, good. All right. Anyway, we put Moser axles in it, and Eaton True Tracks, and reset the gears up and bearings and everything. And that was from CR Gear and Axle. Just went through the entire thing and put it all back together. And I'm just going to stop that screen share. And at 2:00 in the morning, before I was supposed to have the Jeep in Georgetown, I was like building the rack on the back because I didn't have a place for the spare tire or jerry cans. And
yeah,
so it was craziness. Yep, perfect. Yeah, and then Liam showed up, and we went up, and we went to Uncle Tom's cabin. Had the initiation in Uncle Tom's cabin. How was that?
That was great. I think I had seen a video of Uncle Tom's cabin. Maybe it was on like a Dirt Every Day or something else similar to that. And I'm like, wow, that place looks cool. I'll probably never make it over there because it's really far from me. And then, we showed up and walked in, and there's the dollar bills in the ceiling. I'm like, oh my gosh, I made it. This is so cool.
Yeah. That was super fun. So Jamboree has always been special to me, and having that Jeep has been really cool. We did a video. Liam put together the first episode on that trip, and it's on our YouTube site, or our YouTube page under Jeepers Jamboree. And one of us, I don't remember who, but we put together a really cool intro for it. And I'm going to share this one with audio. And you guys just wave your hand if you can hear me or hear the audio when it comes up. We're in training on this live YouTube stuff, guys. So bear with us. Here we go. Going live. You guys see a shot of the Rubicon Granite Bowl?
Yes.
All right, here we go. We're hitting start.
We got music.
Got it?
All right.
Don't you wish you would have come, buddy?
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's been a few years since I've been on that trail. It's absolutely one of my all-time favorites, and especially on the Jeepers Jamboree. And in fact, the same Jeep that I drove to Key West, I've taken through the Rubicon twice.
I'll bet you only twice though. I thought it'd be more than that, but yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Love it. So I just want to jump in here, give a plug for Jeepers Jamboree, because if you haven't done it, you need to sign up. Just go to their website, put it on the bucket list, sign up and do it, because it's really fun. As you can see, it's several days of great wheeling, and not just, you can do the Rubicon Trail anytime, right? I mean, it's an unmaintained public road, but you can't do it where you've got spotters at like all of the most difficult spots. You've got a mechanics crew that's just awesome, and if you do have a problem, fortunately we did not, other than a couple driver errors and having to get drug off a couple rocks. But mechanics crew, you get into camp, and as you can see on that video and a few clips, I mean, it's just a big party. It's super fun. They cook all your meals. It's like the red carpet treatment. Yeah. Be there, be square.
Yeah. Chris,
And
are
it
you
was
going
Liam's, it was your first time, right?
Yeah. Are you going to Jamboree next year?
I certainly hope so. Yeah.
Because Chuck's texting me. He says that he's going out and he's bringing his son with. And
Cool.
what do you say? 1946 CJ2A is what his son's driving, and he is going to be driving a scrambler. So that's pretty
nice.
cool.
Yeah. Well, Chuck, get a hold of me. It's my backyard. I'm just an hour and a half away. So if you're coming this direction, Northern California, give me a shout. I try to go when I can. Sometimes the summers get pretty busy, but it's a fun event. It's a great event. Definitely worth the time. And yeah, what were some of your thoughts, your takeaways on Jamboree, Liam?
Well, you really stressed me out at the beginning when you said that we're going to do a day of wheeling, fine, and then we're going to relax and drink for 2 days. And my brain went, I'm like, I don't have time to relax and drink. I have way too much to do. But fortunately, we spent the whole time running around filming people relaxing and drinking, and we didn't do too much of it ourselves. So we made sure to get some in, but we got to run around and film. And so that helped me out, got to keep the stress level nice and high. No relaxing for this guy over here. But no, that was cool. That was a really good trip. I love that there was, the little intermission in the middle where there's just a big party and the food and everything's really good, and tons of great networking to be had throughout the industry. And it's not business. You got people from all around the industry who are sitting there, and like at SEMA, everyone's there to network and to be professional, maybe not so professional, but they're there for a reason. At Jamboree, we're just all there coexisting. And so I thought that was a lot of fun, a lot of common goal, which is just to enjoy the Rubicon Trail, enjoy the wheeling experience, hang out together, relax for a couple of days, and then finish off with more trail. It was good.
Yeah. Like, who was camped across from us? The Curry clan.
Yeah. Oh, across. Yeah. That way.
That way.
Because we had Carbon something right next to us, and then the Curry guys were over there. That was cool hearing the whole Curry Enterprise backstory from one of the sons, right?
Yes. Yeah. It goes way back.
That
Way
was
back.
Tracy,
and it's
did
three.
you have a question?
Oh, Tracy, sorry.
I was just going to say my fondest memory of the Jeep Jamboree. I haven't been to Jeepers. I've been to Jeep Jamboree on the Rubicon the week after Jeepers, was drinking the 4 Italian guys under the table.
There's something about that trail.
It was a good time, and I was still able to walk back to my tent. But these guys weren't used to the altitude. That's low altitude for me. So yeah,
That's right. Yeah, you were probably just doing sprints.
I was.
That's funny,
Yeah.
William. You mentioned the Carbon guys. Sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
No worries. It was just a good time. If you want something that is a little more family oriented, sign up for Jeep Jamboree, which is the weekend after Jeepers. They do something great for the kids. I mean, the first day that you're in camp, Rugged Radios donated a bunch of handheld radios and taught these kids about these radios. That was great. They've got a movie night. Yes, movie on a big screen. Right
I think
there
Tread
in the middle
Lightly
of
was
Rubicon
doing,
Springs.
In the middle of the woods.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I want to jump back in here to Liam's comment on being stressed out. How was the cell service down there, Liam?
It was non-existent. It wasn't bad. It wasn't spotty. It was nothing. It was wonderful.
Right.
Is that
Yeah.
is that what stressed you out? Not having the cell?
No. What? Okay, this is going to be like a weird segue, but so what stressed me out was the fact that I had no business being out there. I basically ran myself down to 3 vacation days to do Christmas, which I should not have done. And if you don't know, I currently live in Michigan. All my family is 10 hours away, so Christmas is a total of 30 hours of driving. So I had 3 days to do all of that, plus like the 2 days that you normally get off. And so I had no business being out there, but Chris calls up and says, it's an anniversary. It's the 70th anniversary. We're doing it in a expedition Jeep, and it's the Rubicon Trail. And I'm like, I shouldn't be out here at all. Okay, I'll be on a plane tomorrow. So that's why I was stressed out. Like every moment has to count. And if we're relaxing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in so much trouble. But it all worked out because I ended up quitting my job, and now I have like 5 weeks of vacation before I start my next one. So all good. I don't know what I was all stressed about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, glad you came. That was like super fun.
Chris, tell us what
man.
episodes are coming up for our viewers.
Well, let's see. We posted the first one on for the first like a third of the trail day, and it's just a fun. If you're looking for Nat Geo quality production, this isn't it. This is just Liam and I having fun, going to Uncle Tom's, him learning how to staple his dollar on the ceiling and supporting the local economy with a beer, and putting our new Rancho shocks on at like 8 a.m. or 7 as soon as the sun came up, because I had the wrong shocks on there. So that one's already up and running, and we've got a couple more. We actually put together one. Mike just finished putting together one on interviews we did with Bob and the kitchen crew and the guys at the bar. It's like everything about how that event comes together, and Bob talks about everything going back to like the early days, and how the community, it started as a fundraiser for the community of the Rotary Club and the Georgetown Gun and Pistol Club. God bless those good old clubs, huh? And so a lot of those are still in it. So we did one on how the event comes together, and we're gonna have a couple more on the trail. Got a great interview with Rick Morris, who wrote the book on the history of the Rubicon Trail. It's actually literally a book. I should go grab that copy. It's in my office over here. And then we've got some interviews with some of the Jeepers that were on the trip. Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff coming up.
Oh yeah. Well, and your restoration videos on Edla. Those
Oh yeah.
as well.
Yeah. So we jump into that too. Some of those little clips that we had on the expedition Jeep in the shop. I mean, basically we are going to be going through it, and Rick says a conservation, right? Going to be looking at a conservation project, because we're not messing with the dents, with the rust, with the patina and all the the original graphics and stuff that are on it, but we're going to be doing like from the sheet metal down. So started with the axles, because I could grab the drive line in the front, and it was just like it was wobbling like a limp hot dog. It was
That's
bad.
normal. That's normal.
No. So it now has a set of Tom Woods custom drive lines on it, and it's awesome. So we got a couple of, there's an intro video coming up, and it's just me talking about the vehicle and the history of the vehicle, and then a walk around underneath it when I sat basically for a couple hours and walked around underneath it, figuring out and realizing, oh my goodness, I got a lot to do. Yeah. And then we jump into Tracy. Hand up.
I'm going through the chat here. We've finally got some stuff that's popping up.
Cool.
First off, I want to say hello to Tumbleweed, better known as our buddy George Franks, who helped rescue Rick down in Texas. He's one of our Fall Color Tour buddies, and he has got the most amazing voice and the sweetest sounding 12-string guitar. You guys missed some good stuff. Chris Silveira is on here.
Hey, Chris.
With Cal Four Wheelers. Auto archaeology. I just saw a Flat Fender in a Wisconsin junkyard. It was someone's project and full of parts, then junked. So sad.
Save it.
Hey, Kevin Bork from down in Australia has tuned in.
Oh, wow.
He's here saying hello.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Awesome.
John Lee says he feels that Greg should stop playing with his new toy long enough to join in.
So somebody knows Greg.
Yeah.
Yes. So sorry to jump in there. G Talk Show has jumped in. Hello, has anyone seen Chuck? His cows are looking for him.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
that's great.
I'll mute myself. I just want to let you guys know we've got stuff popping up in the chat. If you haven't been monitoring, I finally am.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Jason.
And Chris,
Thank
you might
you.
also want to tell people who else is not here that should be here, like Tyler and Greg.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we'll start with Greg. And Greg, you guys probably know about him, or I know that you know about his rigs. So Greg Henderson is unofficial use only. And if you saw all of the amazing coverage of Quadratech's new JTE, it was their 4-door / 2-door Gladiator electric vehicle at SEMA. So, and it was in the Quadratech booth. So we had some stuff on it on YouTube, and I know that like probably every automotive journalist that walked by it stopped and checked it out. They had a great presentation. Rick helped with the reveal of it, and so Greg does like amazing stuff. It never ceases to I never cease to be in awe of some of his projects, because companies like Quadratech and others will just call him up and say, we have this crazy idea to do this with this vehicle. What do you think? Because what do you think? And he's like, yeah, why not? Give me a Sawzall. I can cut it up. I'll put it back together.
What's really
Yeah.
cool is on some of the earlier podcasts we got to see Greg in the shop environment with some of the vehicles in the background. So it's always fun to see what he's working on next.
Yeah. And then there's the Wagoneer, that's the green one that's usually up on his lift, but it's like intermittently been there for like 2 years. I don't know what's going on with that one.
It's still there. It's nearing end, but it's still there.
Yeah. And
People to go to Saudi Arabia, I think.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. The story on that Jeep, if I remember right, is supply chain. Unfortunately, it's been waiting on parts. There were specific parts requested for that vehicle, and sadly, whatever I think it was axles, the specific axles on it were just not available. So that's the reality of our current global situation. Is every once in a while, especially if you're picky on what parts you have, you might not get them.
yeah.
You're there.
Yeah. And then there's Tyler.
That's great.
Sorry,
Yeah.
jump in there.
So that's Greg.
That is Greg. Yeah, he's fun.
Never know. He
He's
wears
fun to
a
watch. And fun to hang out with. And then there's Tyler. So Tyler is Backcountry Threadworks. He is our Tech Tip Tuesday genius. So if you guys catch our stuff on Facebook, pretty regular on Tuesdays, you get a tech tip from Tyler, and he talks about everything from Oh God, it's like a blur.
Mhm.
Mike put together an entire like long format video on all of his tech tips from 2000 or from 21, I think, last year.
Actually,
Was that
Liam
Mike?
did that. Actually,
Liam did it.
I think
Yeah.
Liam did that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
but
have
he,
2 years worth of tech tips on our YouTube channel. So if you're down for like an hour of, hey guys, I'm Tyler, Gone-GPN, this is Tech Tip Tuesday, and then just a cool, fun tip, we've got that for you. If not, scroll through our Instagram and you know what? Give them all a like. So we just give a big spam of likes. We love those. So
yeah, love the likes. Yeah, Tyler's good, and he has talked about. The most memorable one of recent is like when his double cardan broke on the way through Utah, I think, or Colorado, and it just like the entire thing exploded, and it didn't just fall off his rig like a driveline might just fall apart, and go away. No, it ripped his back of his transfer case off, like chunks of it, like.
like the chain was hanging. The best part about that was that he drove it. He continued driving it to meet his dad, who was bringing a trailer. I think he drove
10
for like
miles.
a half hour.
Yeah.
He went 10 miles. He figured out that, first of all, the mindset of a Tech Tip Tuesday Tyler guy is that while he was sitting there waiting, he figures, okay, I got like 3 or 4 hours to wait. I should do a tech tip. He crawls underneath his transfer cases, like just torn apart. He's like, okay. So he did that. Yeah. And then he like took the back of everything off the back, and he was able to drive it on the front where the driveline was still on there. And he just like hobbled down the road very slowly, like for, he said like a 10 miles or something. So his whole goal was, hey, 10 miles plus 10 miles. He goes, I saved us 20 minutes on the drive home. So yeah. Anyway, that is Tyler. And yeah. And then there's Stu Rodone, and he is got just like a vast, I don't know, how long has he been in the industry, Rick?
Longer than me.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Cool.
Yeah, I remember meeting him when he was a staffer at Four Wheeler. This is easily 32, 3 years ago. Yeah, so he's been around probably longer than anybody. Still doing it.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, I was hoping that he would be able to make it tonight. Obviously, he's also got a wealth of information, but like I just opened up the most recent issue of Four Wheeler magazine, and his name's in there under byline on several articles. So another great guy in the industry. Yeah. So I want to
wait.
Yeah.
You haven't even introduced yourself and told you anybody who you are.
I am the underpaid moderator of the show.
Underpaid.
Wait, I'm not paid at all.
Do something about that. You
Yeah, you're getting paid.
I know. No. Yeah, if they say they're going to dock my pay, it's like I'm going to be in the red. So yeah, my name is Chris Collard. I'm a journalist, and the one thing you do know about me is a UPS guy in 1998. I quit that job in 2021 to pursue doing what I'm doing now. So it's been a good ride, crazy ride. Written and for just about every automotive publication, especially the off-road ones in the US, and dozens of publications in other countries. I've had clients from Russia to Italy, South Africa, Malaysia, a lot of clients in Europe for magazines. So what I've done is a lot of event coverage, from Dakar to Australasian Safari, Moroccan Outback Challenge, stuff like that. Had some super cool opportunities. Media manager for a number of different teams, racing Baja. Had a chance to race with one of my all-time heroes, who became a good friend, Rod Hall, in his 69 Bronco, which I helped with that program, restoring it, became his media manager. And then he asked me if I would be his team manager for the Baja races. And then he's like, he always talked in the third person. He's like, one day he's like, well, Chris, Rod Hall thinks that you should be his navigator. I'm like, God, I felt like such a snot-nosed kid with these like iconic guys that I grew up watching, so that was some great chapters. So yeah, commercial photography for auto manufacturers, aftermarket, put together a few small projects. And I guess the most recent was right before COVID hit, and that was East West Australia. And I was co-produced that with our mutual friend Ben Davidson in Australia. He's editor or publisher of Jeep Action magazine, and just a great group of guys down there. So Ben and I figured out how to fandangle that project together, and the real highlight was that two of the original members, this was the recreation of the 1969 East-West Australia expedition. They went from Cape Byron on the East Coast all the way what ocean is that? Pacific Ocean, all the way to the Indian Ocean on the West Coast. And they crossed kind of like the forbidden land of the Northern Simpson Desert from east to west. Nobody had done that before. Ben and his contacts, he was able to get permission for us to cross that. And two of the original members who are still alive were able to join us. So John Eggleston, who was their videographer, and Ian McDonald, who was the team leader, basically put that together. They came with us, and it was so cool. I mean, Rick, you were there. From the States, we brought in Rick. Sue Mead, we brought a couple of international journalists in. The project was, I'm a longtime BFG guy, and they gave us a huge amount of support on the project, as well as Jeep Australia and Warren Winch and Best Top and Dometic, Terraflex, and we had some really, really great partners on it. So yeah, a couple things. I know it sounds boring, but it was fun for me.
I still haven't caught up on my sleep after that. That's been 4 years.
And Tracy was so when we crossed, Rick, how far was it across the dunes? Like 1,100 sand dunes we had to cross.
Oh yeah. Oh, and no cell service for 7 days, Lynn.
What was cell service?
Exactly.
What? Cell
Hey,
service?
The Find My Friends on Rick's phone worked better than you guys' spot trackers, because you guys were bouncing all over the place. I mean, Ben ended up over in Darwin,
Adelaide,
and then back in the Simpson, and
Yeah,
then
1,000
back in
miles away.
Brisbane, and
From where we really
I'm
were.
like, yeah, and it's like, okay, did they have to air flight him out or something?
No, yeah, no, it was amazing because Tracy was our media manager, boots on the ground in the States while we were out there playing in the desert. So yeah, you were tracking us. I forgot that you were tracking us on our Find My Phone.
Yeah, I have the GPX files of the entire trip. I mapped that entire trip from coast to coast. And I think when you and Rick were talking about it at the end of that trip, I was approximately 11 kilometers off of your totals.
And that's all the way across the continent, Australia.
That was amazing.
And Rick was saying, well, yeah, we drove a little farther because we were lining up to do this shot or do that shot to get drone footage. And I think I was like 11 kilometers off.
Yeah, that was great.
Wow.
And what was really cool is I had my satellite map up, and I had Rick on Find My Friends on satellite, and I could zoom in enough to find the shrubbery in the satellite images.
Yeah,
really,
to figure out roughly where you guys were.
Yeah, that's how we found some of those campsites on the way back.
You know what? That's right. Yeah, that's
I
right.
was the eye in the sky. I found the that old telegraph site where you guys camped down near the ocean, and you wanted dry lake bed footage, and I found that dry lake.
Tracy, you were the bomb. That's right. God, somebody slapped me. That was like,
that was 3 years ago.
I know.
Yeah,
we got to do it again.
Good
Rick
time.
was telling me, he goes, Chris he needs to find something flat so we can get the drone up and do this and that. So I'm looking around on my maps and it's like, well, if you're where I think you're at, you're going to go maybe 2 or 3 more kilometers. I said, get on the radio with Chris. And I said, off on your right, there's going to be a little road that goes down into this dry lake bed. And boom, the next thing I see is Rick's little blue dot flying across the lake bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't get stuck either. That was amazing. I figured we'd find some moist stuff out there.
We were lucky.
Yeah,
And we were down there in the wintertime, but that's kind of the dry season too, though. But that was, I remember that red dirt from that whole dry lake bed area. And I mean, the Simpson Desert in general. Yep.
Kevin
that
just
was
brought up somebody that you need to talk about. Emu Dave, the fuel guy from the East-West Crossing, was
Absolutely.
amazed and still speaks about how accurate the navigation was to find him on the Colson track.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Little backstory. You want to do that one, Rick? You want me to do it?
No, you go for it. Go for it. That was great.
So the original guys crossed unsupported. All right. Which was just phenomenal. And with almost no radio contact, they had like an old VHF radio that they put up military style with a big long wire, and it hardly worked at all. And they were carrying like 300 gallons of fuel. And they had, they did not have the tires that we had. We had KM3s, and they were driving like just old bias ply top tires. So they went all the way across. We, of course, had the option. There's one track that crosses the Simpson Desert called the Colson track, and it runs off of the French line and heads north up towards Birdsville. So Emu, as he's called, he met us up there. So we kind of gave him our best guess estimate on where we'd be and the time that we'd be there, the day that we'd be there, give or take, because we were basically just, when we left Beachcomber, which was the most eastern point of the northern Simpson, jumped off into the dunes. Basically, we just set a tangent, like due west, and we just headed due west. And where we were supposed to end up was Nado Station. And so we gave him the coordinates on where we thought we'd be in the day. And by the time we got there, we were like doing backflips when we saw his truck. It was a Land Cruiser. Toyota, I've got a drink. Come on, guys. But it is a tank, and he was there, and he had our fuel, and we were just.
It was a fuel truck.
I'm sorry?
It was a fuel truck full of fuel.
It was just, yeah.
Goodness, we needed it. We did not have enough on board to do the entire trip unsupported.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So that was awesome. So yeah, Dave Emu Parkinson's, right? Yeah. Yep. So that was like super, super cool. Big kudos, actually, if you guys are watching over there in Australia, Michael Bowen, he was started Jeep Action Magazine and then handed it off to Ben Davidson. Just had some really fun people on the trip. So anyway, we got off on that tangent talking about me. So that's probably enough about me.
We're going to get off on a lot of tangents. So maybe we better keep moving on.
Yeah.
And we do need to give a shout out to Von Becker. He did come on when we did the East West Australia podcast almost 2 years ago. Can you believe that? But
yes. Yep.
He knows a lot of history about the first trip. So
yeah, Vaughn is an encyclopedia, and Derek Redmond was along with us, and that was
the CJ3B page. So if you want to know anything about a CJ3B, you go to there and you'll be amazed. Derek has it all.
Derek's got just tons of other stuff too, though. I mean, just really cool. Liam, sorry.
No worries. Okay, so I have a question from Chuck because he's texting me and can't figure out the YouTubes. And he actually had to sign off to go do Jeep Talk Show stuff, so he won't get to know the answer. But that's okay because it's a question I want the answer to as well. And this is for probably Chris and Rick. He needs new springs for his scrambler. He's wondering what your recommendations are. I'm curious because my YJ does not ride well, and I know that the springs are poor quality. So I'm curious as to what your spring criteria would be.
First, I'd say what the intended use is for. Like,
Yes,
want to actually use
exactly.
it for four-wheeler, or do you want to restore it and park it? Do you want to drive it around town? And what's underneath it right now?
I know he drives it off-road every day. I don't know what's underneath it right now.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I mean, Rick's got a,
of course.
Rick's got a good point.
answer
It's like,
is-
what do you want to do with it?
Yeah.
What size tires he's going to run on it? If it is it going to be, a ranch truck on his ranch, or is it going to be something that he wants to like drive to Moab? And or is he going to maybe trailer to Moab? And then, how flexy do you want the springs? And
And here's the deal: on a vehicle that old, you got to figure out who still makes the spring.
Right.
If you go to
That
some of
that's
them,
what
they
I was-
don't carry them.
that's what I was going to say. What is currently available?
right.
Yeah,
So
you can always
when
get anything custom made.
Yeah.
Alcan Spring, any of those guys, they'll make you springs. And you can always find them in junkyards. You can even rebuild your own springs, but you got to first figure out what tire size you want to run. Let's say a regular scrambler with 33s and a 2.5-inch lift. Rancho probably still makes those. It'll ride good. It'll do everything you need, and you don't have to worry about it again. Now on
They
your
don't.
YJ, how big are your tires?
I got 31s, but let's say I do 33s, like you said.
What axle do you have in the rear?
Well, if I do 33s, it's going to change because right now it's the Dana 35.
Okay. All right, so let's just pretend. All right, same thing. You can do a like if Rancho still has it, a 2.5-inch kit, run 33s, decent ride. But again, figure out what's available.
I'm going to jump in here.
here's-
So
go ahead, Chris.
Rancho was the original springs that were on the Expedition Jeep. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, they don't make those anymore. Obviously, they make the shocks. So
Well,
it's
guess
just one of those
what?
things. Yes.
Your springs are the same. Your 7 and the Scrambler
Yes.
springs,
Yes.
I think so.
Yep. So Superlift does still make those springs though. So that's what is on the Expedition Jeep is Superlift springs and Rancho shocks.
Okay.
So there
And
are
I
companies
believe
that are still making those.
Superlift- Go ahead.
Those are 2-inch, but I think they make a 2-inch and a 3-inch, if I recall. But I didn't want to, I wanted to kind of keep it as a little bit lower.
Yeah, so if I'm shopping for leaf springs and I'm looking at what's available. So let's say, the selection is limited because it's an older vehicle. How many leaves am I looking at? Because let's say my YJ, it has 3 leaves per spring and they're like, I don't know, 1/4 inch or more thick. I mean, they're thick and this thing does not ride well at all. Whereas on my Commando, I've got like 5 or 6 leaves in the front and I would say it rides considerably better. But granted, I also have a V8 in that and a 4-cylinder in the other one. So what's going on here?
Usually, more thinner leaves will give you a better ride than fewer, thicker leaves. Just a progressive spring stack will work far better. Who knows what you have on your YJ? I highly doubt they're stock.
They're not.
So again, in the old days, you just pick up the catalog and had all the specs in there. Now you have to plow through the internet to figure out dimensions on springs.
And
Nope.
spring rates. And like Rick said, you just think of it this way: you got three leaves on those springs to support a certain amount of weight. If you went to 1 spring on that, how stiff would it have to be to support the same amount of weight? Now, if you went to an 8 spring pack, an 8 leaf pack, those leaves can be much thinner. The combination will support the weight, but when you actually need to flex it or you're driving down the road, it also has more give. So when suspension flexes, the springs are actually moving, those leaves are actually moving a little bit within each other, within the pack. They're centered on the center pin, but they'll, if you've got 7 or 8 of them, as they go up and down, they move a little bit. but the combined will support the weight, and the multiple leaf pack will allow for more flexibility.
That explains why mine are not great. And which I kind of knew some of the answers to what you're saying, but obviously it's good to hear it again, and or I love hearing for the sake of everyone else watching. I say that to make myself sound smart.
Sorry, Liam, I just made that up.
Oh, great. No, but I'll tell you what surprised me when I bought the springs for mine, and I'll tell you I bought the cheapest ones available, which is why I have what I have. But when I bought them, what surprised me was no website, nobody I called, no one I talked to ever once asked me what engine I have. And I'm like, doesn't that matter? There's a big difference in weight between the 4 and 6 cylinder. Why is there not 6-cylinder springs and 4-cylinder springs? What's going on?
They're trying to make money, not give you the best spring available.
Yeah.
Well, they did that.
One
There you
size
go.
fits all.
Yeah, one size fits all.
Yeah.
Just like air pressure in the tire. Whatever it says on the sidewall isn't necessarily what should be in it for your vehicle and for your motor. And look
Tracy?
at your lighting. You have a hard top on it. That puts extra weight on the rear. Less weight on the front because of the 4-cylinder, more weight on the rear.
Yep.
Yeah, spring weight is very critical when you're actually designing strings per proper application. So I said the springs on the Scrambler are the same as on Edla, Chris's CJ7. Well, they will interchange, but from the factory, yes, they were different and they had different rates, different thicknesses. But when you go to the buy new springs, they're going to be the same spring. They're not going to ask you if it's a Scrambler or a 7. It's the same part number.
Yeah. And Rick mentioned it at the beginning, but if you really want to dial in your vehicle, once you have it set, it's like have springs made, call Alcan and say, this is what I've got. This is the weight. This is the ride height I want, increase over stock. And yeah, they do a really good job. I've had them make springs for me. So yeah. Tracy, you had your hand up. What, you can just jump in anytime.
I did, and we're going to go to a different topic here, and it's something that everybody really got into earlier this year. A lot of the Gone-GPN followers and fans were really into, hey, John Wilder, good to see you on. He's one of our sorry, I just saw that pop up. He's one of our old
You're
dirt drive
swirling.
people. Yes, I am. I'm a woman. I'm entitled to do this. Anyway, Rick and David Freiberger had a trip earlier this year, and everybody and their brother kind of wanted to know what was going on. We haven't had a chance to really discuss that. We haven't gone in depth or in detail, but this was the original Dead trip, and I think everybody'd like to know more about that. I know a lot about it, but
Yeah, well,
we've had a lot of questions about it over the past months.
well, I'm sure. So back in April, David Freiberger and I drove my dad's restored World
No,
War II.
Rick, that was March.
No.
Yeah. You guys
See?
left in
Okay,
March,
so it was last
came
spring.
back in
my
April.
world.
Sorry.
Spring, whatever. So we drove it from Phoenix to Key West, and that's about 2,500 normal miles. And we did it because that's how we started. Our first big trip was to Alaska, and he called me up and says, hey, I have some vacation time. Where do you want to go? I said, I don't know. How about you? And he says, how about Key West? And I said, okay, why Key West? He says, because it's the farthest south in the continental U.S. or contiguous U.S. that you can actually drive. There's a post there that says it and all that stuff. I said, okay, no problem. Let me figure out. I haven't driven the Jeep because we had to take the same Jeep, obviously. Hadn't driven it on a long trip since SEMA 2011. Went Phoenix to Las Vegas and back. That was a good trip. But other than that, just put it around the farm, put it around the house, get ran, kind of sluggish at times. So I said, yeah, well, I got to adjust the valves, whatever. So he comes over. We planned out how many days it's going to take, probably 14 or so. And then he may have to fly back because he actually has a job on roadkill that demands him to be places and take videos. So when he got here, started taking it apart. Unfortunately, I had valve recession in the 4-cylinder. It ran, just not real well. So rather than rebuilding that engine, I went down to my hoard, because yes, I'm a hoarder, cheap horse hoarder. Picked one out and said, well, this ought to work. That one wasn't going to be the best. So I picked out another one that I bought from a friend. We put it in. I think we got about 200 miles ish, and it had rod knock. So we turned around, came back, and put in another one from the Horde, and it went all the way there. So that was 2,500 miles. Lots of slow speed. We tried to do dirt every day because that's exactly what it's all about. One day, I believe it was over 100 miles of dirt, southern Arizona. And then someone said, hey, you're coming by on the interstate, right? Why don't you stop? I'm like, no, I'm not even going to come close to an interstate. That's the last thing we want to do. Yes, the Jeep will do 60, 65. It's not good for it. And I don't like going that fast with that Jeep. You don't see anything. So half the idea of this trip is to enjoy it. So 45, 55, that's about the speed we went. We got all the way there. No real issues other than one flat, I believe. Yeah, one flat that we picked up in the middle of nowhere. Believe it or not, it's a drywall screw. Went through, punctured the tube, had a place there that fixed it up in a matter of minutes and kept going. So surely some of you got some questions about it.
I have a question.
What?
I want to know about manifold shrimp. Sauteed with shrimp scampi on the manifold.
Absolutely.
But
So anybody that's ever, Tracy,
it's gas station manifold shrimp. You have to clarify they bought the shrimp at a gas station.
absolutely. Everybody thought I was crazy, right? We're in this gas station in southern part of Louisiana or somewhere down there. I said, shrimp. I went, cool. I had aluminum foil. I got some garlic butter. I put them all up, wrapped them up, put them on the manifold, or actually on the head because the manifold, there's not a lot of room. Drove a day, and I'm telling you, it tasted absolutely incredible. Everybody says, oh, you're going to get sick buying shrimp out of gas station. It's something they do down there. It's not odd. It's like if you go ice fishing in Michigan, right? What do you do with the fish? You can put it on the motor. Oh, you've never been there, Liam?
Yeah, but you need to tell everybody where that garlic butter ended up.
Unfortunately, I am not the best at sealing things with aluminum foil, and then things move around, they get holes. So, of course, the engine was drenched with garlic butter, which then went onto the firewall, which then seeped through all the little holes in the firewall through the pad, and then on the inside. So I'm driving along and I'm looking at this stuff dripping down from underneath the dash. It smelled great. But it tasted better. So yeah, I've done all sorts of manifold cooking. Beef, corn,
Lobster tail.
lobster tails. Yeah. Anything can be done. And it's so much better. You got to make sure that if you're four-wheeling while you're doing it, that you don't have a leaky carb, because then you're going to have a little gas-tainted food. That's not always the best.
So when you guys got down into the Keys and you were having clutch issue
Yeah, sure was.
and you were looking for manatees.
Yep. Found manatees. Found a guy that helped me readjust the clutch. Just random guy on a motorcycle said, hey, Freiberger. Well, he had been following the trip. So we stopped and we spent the afternoon with him because he showed us the manatees. He showed us where to eat. I mean, the Keys is like just a super long chain of coral islands called Keys, and that's all it is. So the whole point of living there is just to have fun, apparently, because it's beautiful weather. There's no real beach. It's coral.
What did that guy take you guys out to dinner in?
Oh, like a 71 Chevelle.
No,
El Camino?
no,
I don't know. What?
no. 69 Camaro.
Oh, it was. Yes. Beautiful
Yes, it was.
resto. Just he did a great job. So you meet people on a good road trip. You never know what you're going to come up with. And that's really the beauty of it. So yeah, I had a clutch issue. So adjusted it. It lasted. David had to fly away on the last day there at Key West, and I headed back myself. I get up to middle of Florida, fantasy of flight, and I met a reader who knew the guy, Kermit Weeks, at Fantasy of Flight. So we got the special tour. But that's when my clutch finally let go. Cut clutch. So he said, we can change it in my garage. I said, okay. So ordered some parts up from Quadrant Tech. They had them there the next day. Clutch pressure plate throwout bearing. I think we had that all done in one evening. Maybe 6 hours, had the clutch replaced. It was interesting because the stock clutch has 3 fingers with little coil springs underneath. I took it apart. One was down here instead of up like they should have been. Yeah, I've never seen that. But it probably was original from World War II, so what do you expect? So anyway, again, good people on the road, good readers. And then I headed north.
You were supposed to be coming to Moab.
Well, yeah, wanted to try to make Moab, not with that clutch.
Well, I think on the way out there, you were supposed to meet us up at the
Yeah, it was.
the Grand Cherokee 4xe program in Austin.
Didn't have time.
No,
It's a long trip. Long trip.
at 45.
Yeah, 45. But again, I did meet some more Jeepers in Florida who had a slew of Jeeps. That was a fun family. They invited me over for food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was, I believe on Instagram, he goes by Old Green Jeep.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So again, Instagram and Facebook, people are always popping up. So it's good to get those contacts as you travel out across country. The biggest problem came back through Texas. Texas, you got to remember, is a big state. It took us 6 days, I think, to cross it on the way out. On the way back, my engine was having a little bit of issues. It started to overheat really bad. And
Yeah, I think you made it like 20 miles into Texas when.
Yeah, it wasn't that far. But unfortunately, with the wind, I said, I got to do something. So I actually asked Tracy to get on her little network about somebody in the area, and you came up with the ones that are actually watching this now. And
Yeah, Tumbleweed.
yeah. George
He
Franks and his wife.
George
Yeah.
Franks and his wife Lynette. Yeah,
Yeah.
I activated the Flat Fender Grapevine, and Mike Picard got me in touch with George, and then I gave that information to Rick, and Mike got in touch with Rick and got hooked up with George. And
Yeah, so George came out about, I don't know, must have been 60 or 100 miles with his trailer, picked me up, took me back to his house. We changed the head gasket that he found at a local Jeep shop and spent the night and took off in the morning. So all was good. Unfortunately, not
for
good
30
enough.
miles.
Yeah. I finally called. I said, the wind was so bad, it was even ripping my original soft top to shreds. I went, this is stupid. It's Texas, for God's sake. I've seen it, and it's another 4 days of the same thing. You're in Texas, you can see a train coming 2 days away. So, rented a U-Haul truck and a trailer, and I went and hit all my favorite little Jeep places on the way back home. Now, of course, I'm still driving the Jeep. I haven't done anything to it. It works fine, doesn't overheat. So I think it was Texas. Sorry, Texas. That's all I can say. It's like Bronco.
Well, and the U-Haul guy, Kyle Mack, he happens to be a Roadkill fan.
That's right. He comes in. I mean, he's like the area manager. He comes in and goes, "Oh my God, you're Rick Payway. Is David Freiberger here?" Well, I said, no. But that was cool. So he helped me out, helped me get that U-Haul all the way back. Yeah, again, good people on a road trip. Now David and I have to figure out where we want to go next. So maybe that's something we'll ask our readers. Another epic Jeep trip. Make sure the Jeep's ready.
How
What
about
do you
flat
think?
fenders to down Baja?
Oh,
You have
all the
no
way to
issues
Cabo.
with dirt every day on that, huh?
Sure. Jeep to Cabo. Now remember, it's
Yeah.
olive grab, has a star on it. USA registration numbers. We gonna have any problem with the federales? You're the Baja guy. You're down there
Yeah,
like
they would
10 times a year.
probably.
I'm voting for Canada. Go up to the go up to the Duck Mountains. There's some great old muddy trails up there and really cool dirt tracks. It's beautiful. Bears and
But I've been to
wolves and-
Canada 2 different trips with it. So
Mm.
gotta do
But-
something different.
we're talking going up into Canada to go through the Duck Mountains in Saskatchewan and on up into let's see, Duck Mountains are in Manitoba.
Mhm.
And then go on up into Swan River.
Still too-
I'm talking
still-
way north.
I want heat. Oh, maybe.
Do it in August. It gets
Do it
warm
in
there in
August.
August.
How about the Darien Gap? Maybe I should drive it to the Darien.
There you go. There you go. Need some help?
Your Jeep's been there.
Yeah, it has. Maybe we should bring it back.
Wow. I'll get the book out.
Okay.
But
Yep.
would David be game for the jungle?
If I told him so.
Okay.
Okay, there's the book. Oh, come on, you can do this. See that?
Yep.
Tilt the top down, Rick. Tilt the top down.
See why we have mine? 31 days in the Darien. There's
Mhm.
Chris's Jeep. And if not, it looks just like it. So anyway, yeah, that's the
That
jungle.
or you can load it on a ship and take it to some place, the only continent that you have never wheeled on, Rick.
Antarctica. Yeah,
Antarctica.
but he has.
I have.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in a Jeep. I was
You
in a Toyota
You
Arctic
snake
truck.
in
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 weeks on the ice.
Yep.
But we'd have to do a lot of modifications to your flat fender to, yeah. You wouldn't want to do that. They're like irreversible modifications. You need huge flotation tires and
we do it
diesel
stock or not at
engines
all.
and yeah.
We'll figure it out. We'll put tracks. Snowcat
Tracks would be a big benefit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Continuous tracks. Front
Yep.
tires, rear tires. No problem.
Yeah. Because I don't think like those
Turning
44-inch
Oh, yeah.
turning
You
brakes.
still got to have the soft top.
You got to still got to carry a lot of fuel. South with tracks, you're going to end up probably getting a
Oh.
lot,
Let's do
Less
solar
fuel
panels,
economy.
go electric.
and you get it. Yeah, that's a great
Everybody
idea.
else
Antarctica.
is.
Well, you know what? We went from Novo to the South Pole. It's 2,400 kilometers across the glacier fields and across the Antarctic plateau. You know how many charging stations we ran into?
None.
Yep. Got it.
So I think
None.
You got to have a solar panel on the top.
We dug airdropped fuel out of the snow and but electric will be a challenge. I've seen some stuff on the internet about people like, we're going to do this electric thing on Antarctica. And I'm like, they're not there yet for the technology. That's
No, but I tell you what, that was buzzword at SEMA this year.
Oh, yeah.
Antarctica, an electric vehicle.
No, just
electric.
vehicles.
Okay.
And more particularly electric Jeeps.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. In fact, I think, wait a minute, we've got a video coming up on an electric Jeep, don't we?
Yeah,
it's
yes.
Scrambler.
Maybe.
I just wrapped up the edit right before we started this on what I'm calling the electrified scrambler. And there's a company that has basically come up with an engine swap for electric. So this gentleman has a scrambler, and he'd been researching, and this company got a hold of him, and they brought his scrambler in and set him all up. He's all electrified. I'm not sure what the schedule is for that. Liam, do we have a schedule of, or this maybe be posted on Friday? That's my usual day to post.
Yeah, so, and we talked about this briefly, I think Chris and I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at our Jamboree videos on Friday, and then Tuesday and Thursday we'll try and get some SEMA posts out. So,
Okay.
because we have a lot from SEMA, we want to make sure we get that in a timely manner for everybody. So I think Tuesday, Thursday, we'll get whatever's available for SEMA, and then we'll try to continue our series of the Jamboree on our Friday schedule.
Yep. We'll
Okay.
sprinkle
Well, there
those
you
in
go.
with the launch of the Edla restoration. I think that's what we're going to
Yep.
do.
Which will buy me time to edit more of the trail ride.
Right. So anyway, back to the electric vehicles or Jeeps at SEMA. There was another one that Rick, you walked around. Could have walked around. Tell us about that one.
That one was pretty
Surge.
cool. It was called Surge, electric Surge, yeah, whatever. Mopar did it. It was a concept vehicle for Jeep. What year was that? 1 or 2 years ago? Regardless, this year they rehashed it and they put in an electric motor. And the idea behind it, the whole idea, is to see how it's going to work on older vehicles with newer powertrains. In other words, Jeeps have always been modified, to drop a flathead Ford or a small block Chevy or whatever into a Jeep. What about an electric powertrain? So they did that just as an experiment to see how easy it could be done, what it should be. And it actually came out great. I mean, you had a beautiful vehicle to begin with, the 66 CJ6. So that's great. But sure enough, nice little electric motor module, I think they called it. And it's scalable, so you make it bigger and smaller. Of course, that has like 500 foot-pounds of torque because that's how electric works. So, and it also had transmission and transfer keys, just like a real Jeep would have. So that's kind of cool. And beautiful job. That'll be up. Liam? When?
I already cut that one, Rick. It's just it's in the can waiting.
Yeah. Remember,
Yeah,
we all have sort of have day jobs. So
Yeah.
We'll get it figured out. We'll get that up at some point on one of the Monday. Did I say Tuesday, Thursday? Monday, Thursday posts. I do want to talk about the electric Jeeps for a minute. So,
okay.
like, first of all, because at my previous company, we worked a lot with the new electric EV startup companies. And they're like, we're going to have screens in the doors and a 30-inch screen in the back seat. And we're going to have this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, hold on here. Isn't weight a problem? Like, range is the biggest limitation of electric vehicles right now, right? Like, the battery technology is not quite there for us to have comparable range to a gas vehicle. So what happens if you have a lightweight vehicle that, like, what if you actually made your vehicle lightweight instead of putting all this junk in there? And when we talked about the CJ Scrambler, the Scrambler build with the electric powertrain, his battery was tiny in comparison to most of these skateboard style cars. So, like, if you don't know, or if you don't care about the new electric vehicles, all of them have like a skateboard platform, which is basically the whole bottom is battery packs. And basically being able to do that has two advantages. One, you have all the real estate for all the battery packs. And two, you can kind of use the same platform for multiple vehicles. And so you can cut down on cost a little bit in manufacturing. But the way the aftermarket works is the batteries are just like the size of like a gas tank, right? And that was the case with the Scrambler. And his range was, I don't remember exactly, but it was, 2-3, probably 300-ish miles. And I'm like, that's insane that they're able to do that with such a small battery. But the truth is that the Jeep's not very heavy. And it's like, here is this example that if you actually cut down on the weight, you have a fairly comparable powertrain. Like my YJ gets like maybe 200 miles of range on gas. Granted, I can fill it up in 10 minutes versus, 10 hours or whatever it takes to charge. But, range for range, where, the electric powertrain is actually doing pretty well in comparison. And, and me being an engineer and stuff, like, I don't deal with the politics. I don't deal with whether it's green or not. I just talk about, what is an efficient powertrain, and efficiently getting power to the wheels. Electricity is cool. Like, electric vehicles are cool. You get torque right where you want it, which is in the low end. Do batteries make it feasible for long road trips? Probably not yet. But honestly, like, these retrofit kits, I can totally see it, being a cool thing. And honestly, if you're not, completely concerned about all of the emissions and whatnot, bring a little generator, charge it overnight. You'll be just like everyone else at the campsite that's running a generator for whatever reason. So
Yeah, right.
that annoying guy
All
no
right.
one likes.
And if you got plenty of battery, you can just run all your camp accessories and your electric blender and stuff off of the car,
Yeah, if you have enough power,
off the Jeep.
then do that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. I'm still a big fan of the V8 swaps and other cool gas burning options. But I'm not.
Gasoline forever.
I hope it sticks around. I want to keep driving my Commando. I just got into carburation, so
Tracy.
Yep. All right.
I wanted
Fun
to
stuff.
say hi to my little brother. He just jumped on and said hi. Hi, Jeff from Champion Designs. And John Wilder wanted to know about the shrimp. He wanted to know if you had a line of Italians following you with the garlic butter smell.
No, nobody would follow us because it was dripping and it would splatter on their windshield.
Oh, so you didn't have a line of Fiats behind you?
No, that's good.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
What? Nobody's going to drink on
That's
Fiat? Jeez.
Oh,
Oh, I forgot.
did you see Rick and I had a moment earlier when someone said Bronco, and we both realized, wait a minute, Bronco means drink.
I need to refill.
My Pacifico's empty.
There you go. Well, if that's empty, then I'd say we're about time.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. So, little update. I asked the team for a list of, things we've done since the last podcast, and it's a really long list. And you know how much we got through? Like 4 or 5 items. Yeah, Liam's got it. We got through this much. So we're gonna just I think we're getting late on the East Coast for everybody. We're gonna call it a night and have to reconvene at some future date. Maybe we'll just do another live podcast, and people can let us know if they like this kind of format. So round robin, just fun, answer some questions. Yeah.
And finish the list.
So we got I didn't print it. I can't turn my screen so you could see it, but it's about 30 different things on here. I'm just going to go through a couple of them. We had the backyard overland tour, Liam's thing. We didn't get to that. I was driving the new Jeep Wagoneer L in Bozeman. Rick's building a new shop. More stuff on the Edla restoration. Mike had a bunch of more stuff to talk about SEMA and preparing his Jeep for the winter. And it's just Sierra Trek and you name it. There's a bunch. We were out on the four-wheelers overland adventure in the Mojave Desert. That was super cool. So, we'll have to do that next time.
Yeah. And you know what? We've got an anniversary coming up.
We
are about 6 weeks away from 3 years of Gone-GPN.
Wow.
3 years.
All right.
Right.
So we're
Let's
out of
have
our
a party.
diapers.
Yeah. Hey, let's go four-wheeling. Can we do live individual while we're out somewhere?
Have
we-
self-service.
Not on the
Those
road.
are-
It would be nice, but the only thing I have to four-wheel in right now is my Ram.
Let's go mall crawling together.
Let's go.
We'll have service. The Ram can go.
What?
I saw it popped up on one of the Jeep groups. You know how Jeep has those trail rated badges or the little badges of honor for trail blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Somebody, and I don't know if it is Jeep or if somebody has just come up with this and printed their own. And these are two badge of honors. One of them was mall crawler, or the mall, and the other one was soccer practice or something like that.
Soccer Mom Central.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Those are the emblems you need, right?
Like made it into the parking spot almost straight.
Yeah, or maybe it
Badge
was
of honor.
Oh, that could be a
parking-
good one. Those are marketable.
parking block. Yeah, I mean it was great. I just
Yep.
had to
Wow.
laugh.
Oh, what else did
Um,
we do at SEMA? Speaking of badges, I just thought, how about like the 26-inch wheel Club of Honor badge? So at SEMA, we
Oh.
saw some amazing rigs, right, Rick? Liam?
It was
Mike?
Amazing.
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 We got a little video spoof on those amazing rigs, amazing things we saw at SEMA.
Yeah,
Oh, I
so
forgot
you'll
about
have to
that.
Look forward to that.
Yeah,
And
but
I'm
they
gonna
don't need no
jump
stinking
in-
badges.
I'm gonna jump in here real quick on the live chat. John Wilder says, "Thanks for all you do. Hope to run into some of you at EJS." Tumbleweed George Frank says, "Well done, y'all." Chris Silviera says, "Thanks, guys. You are all rock stars."
There
Thanks,
you go.
guys.
Well, that's
Thanks for
Hey.
it.
hanging in there with us. That, I mean, you guys
Long
have
shot.
been sitting there listening to us just
Yeah.
yada yada yada,
Come
blah blah
on.
blah.
Yeah, totally appreciate it. That was actually, guys, this has been really fun. I mean, we're all in different parts of the country, and not often, even though a bunch of us were at SEMA, it's like we're all running off doing, our thing in different places. So I'm looking forward to the next one.
All right. Set it up and make it so.
We will do
Yes.
that. And for anybody watching, just keep an eye out. Mike will probably put together some new little teaser clip that says, we're going to be doing this again on this day. And we haven't scheduled it yet, so we don't want to, put out any false rumors on when we're going to do it. But sometime in the next couple of weeks, we'll do another round robin.
Yep. Oh, and in the meantime, we have over 100 videos on our YouTube channel that you can watch, and there's a lot of great stuff on there. Some things have gotten a lot of views, some that haven't. So scroll through, see what's interesting, and let us know what's your favorite.
And like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe.
There you go. Rick's got it down. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. If you guys don't have anything else from the team.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
hey,
I've got one other thing I'd like to say. You may see on the monitor here, Clifton Slade joined me at SEMA. So if you're a Clifton Slade fan, tune in and watch our SEMA videos. He'll be in a few of them. And I want to give him a shout out and say thanks a lot, Clifton, for helping us out there at the SEMA show.
He's been a
Yeah.
good partner.
awesome
for a
to
long
have
time.
awesome to have Clifton as part of the team or as a contributor or whatnot. Though he goes back, I remember showing up in Moab. I'm supposed to shut this thing down. I remember showing up in Moab like in the early 2000s, and Clifton's out there like with his bruiser chassis, right?
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
catch that one on the next show.
Yes.
That's another hour.
Yeah, that's another hour. It's
All right,
past
I'm
Rick's
off to have
bedtime.
another better drink.
I'm gonna have another
All right.
Pacifico. All right, you guys. Cheers. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
We'll see you next time.
Next time. Bye-bye.
Signing off from Gone-GPN.
Bye guys.